Welcome back, everyone. The iPhone 13 just came out, so let's go and compare it against the iPhone 10R. Now, both these phones are great. I love both of these phones. The iPhone 10R, you guys already know, I love this phone a lot, and Apple stopped selling it, but you can still buy it in the used market and certified refurbished. I'll leave some links in the description where you can purchase either one of these things, and you can also help out the channel at the same time when you buy them through there. Now, side by side, they pretty much almost look exactly the same thing. Now, the iPhone 13 on the left looks a little bit better, smaller notch just by a little bit. You can't really even, it just doesn't bring any characteristic to it. No battery percent up there, nothing. So there's not really a whole point to it. Now, you do have an OLED display on the iPhone 13, whereas you had an IPS panel on the iPhone 10R. There's pros and cons for both, but definitely the iPhone 13 panel looks better, but I still think the iPhone 10R's panel doesn't even look that bad. Now, in terms of the thinness and thickness between them, I kind of think that the iPhone 10R is the thicker phone a little bit. I can't really tell, and I don't want to say it is, but the iPhone 13 feels thicker because it is, the flat-sided phone over the curved side on the iPhone 10R. And on the back, glass backs on both, pretty much almost the same exact feeling. Single camera setup on the 10R, dual camera setup on the iPhone 13, lightning ports at the bottom, pretty much just the side button on the side. And that's really it on the outside. IP certification, everything on both. MagSafe capability here, but they both have wireless charging, which is great. And that really pretty much covers it up on the outside. There really isn't anything super crazy. And I think I'm used to the iPhone 12. That's why with the iPhone 13 design, I'm pretty much used to it by now. Now with the iPhone 10R, the biggest difference you're going to see here in terms of, I guess, the longevity and the future ability is the software updates. The iPhone 10R came out in 2018. This one just came out. You're probably going to get a longer lasting phone from the iPhone 13 for sure. This phone is going to outlast the iPhone 10R. Is it going to be by 15,000 years? No. The iPhone 10R and the iPhone 13 are still supported for now. But if you want a phone that's going to last the longest amount of time, the iPhone 10R is probably the better way to go. The iPhone 13 is probably the better way to go in my opinion. This is the longer lasting phone. The iPhone 10R is cheaper and everything, but that comes at a cost. And when it comes down to the future of both these phones, the iPhone 13 is probably the better way to go. Now that covers it up, the body and the futurability and everything. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both of these iPhones. Now the iPhone 10R has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 13 has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster iPhone between both of these. Now the iPhone 13 is on the left, the iPhone 10R is on the right. All the apps are clear in the background. I'm assuming the iPhone 10R is going to be slower, but you never know. Let's go open up the phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And definitely even there, you can see the iPhone 13 a little bit slower. Music, 3, 2, 1. And I don't know, I think the 10R was a little bit faster there, but they both were kind of the same thing. App Store, 3, 2, 1. And you can see we did get into a little bit of a different pop-up on both. I hate when this happens, but I guess there's nothing we can do about it. In terms of the scrolling speed, we can go and kind of click around and click on this one, for example. I think the 13 was probably faster. Photos, 3, 2, 1. We're probably going to get into a pop-up here. I guess we didn't. Swiping around, you can see pretty much the same thing. Camera, 3, 2, 1. And I think even here, the iPhone 13 may have been a little bit faster. And the Mail app, 3, 2, 1. And for sure there, the iPhone 13 was much faster. Hopping out of this one, as always, we have a bunch of these third-party apps we can go and kind of test out. Let's go and get it started. Let's do Twitter, 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 13 was faster. The iPhone 10 are a little bit slower. Facebook, 3, 2, 1. The iPhone 13 far faster. iPhone 10 are much slower. Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. And definitely, I think the iPhone 13, again, is going to be the faster one here. And it was pretty fast. The iPhone 10R was a little bit slower. Nothing super crazy. Let's get into stack. 3, 2, 1. And you can see with the 10R, it kind of glitched up a little bit. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting that. It kind of like stuck there for a second. I didn't even know if I clicked it properly. The iPhone 10R definitely was a little bit slower there. Thank you, 3, 2, 1. And I did mess it up. So I did click this one like probably a split second faster. So keep that in mind. But even with that being said, the iPhone 13 still opened up faster. And I thought that was going to happen. So now we're starting to see bigger speed differences. And with the last couple iPhones I tested, there was absolutely nothing. Now we're kind of seeing it. This is on iOS 15 as well. So that obviously has a little bit to do with it. Snake first blocks, 3, 2, 1. I've been seeing that iOS 15 on these older iPhones is making them a little bit slower, which is pretty common in my opinion. And you can see in this specific case, the iPhone 13 again is the winner. Hopping out of this one, let's get into Netflix, 3, 2, 1. And these are minor apps, so if we even see differences here, it's pretty impressive. And we do. The iPhone 13 was the faster one here. Hopping out of this one, let's get into Quick. Quizlet 321. iPhone 13 again is the faster one. Dropbox 321. Again, the iPhone 13 is the faster one. Bofa, which I don't even have here. Let's get into Temple Run 2, 321. And it quite possibly may be that the iPhone 13 again is the faster one. So this is pretty impressive. Again, we're on iOS 15 on both, and I did see that iOS 15 on the older iPhones is making them slower a little bit. So this is pretty weird in my opinion, but it's pretty much obvious. You can see the iPhone 13 again is the faster one. Hopping out of this one, we can open up Snapchat as the last one, 321. And even here, almost instantaneous on the iPhone 13. So definitely when it comes down to it, you're definitely going to be getting a much faster phone on the iPhone 13 for sure. This is where we're starting to see some of these bigger differences. I think when you go back to like the iPhone 10R and iPhone 13, this is where you're going to see probably the most noticeable upgrade. Is it perfect? No, I mean the iPhone 13 is still glitching up. I noticed a couple times it was not as fast as maybe like an iPhone 13 Pro Max, but still a very good phone. The iPhone 10R is still good too, but definitely the iPhone 13 is the faster one. Now let's go and quickly hit on the cameras. Nothing super crazy. I just kind of want to briefly hit on them. Now both these have, really good cameras. The iPhone 10R has a single wide-angle lens. The iPhone 13 has a wide-angle lens and an ultra-wide sensor. They both can do 4K at 60 on the back, but the bigger difference is on the front. The iPhone 13 can actually shoot 4K at 60 on the front. The iPhone 10R only 1080p at 60. Still good, but it would be nice to get 4K at 60, and the iPhone 10R doesn't have it on the front. Now, in terms of the actual UI of the cameras, you can see we pretty much have the same thing. So we have portrait mode, we have panoramic mode, all this other good stuff. But you do have this new option with the iPhone 13, which is the cinematic mode right here. Now, we don't have this on the iPhone 10R. It's only an iPhone 13 exclusive feature, and I think it's really cool. But I still think with, photos and videos, you're still going to be probably using the stock photo app and all this stuff, and this is still a really cool feature for sure. Now with the iPhone 10R, this camera is still very good. I've had very few complaints with it. You can't, zoom out and zoom in as much as something like an iPhone, 12 Pro or iPhone 13 Pro. But even with this specific difference, the iPhone 13 has that ultra-wide sensor. So you can zoom out a lot more on the iPhone 13 than on the 10R. The photos and everything still look great, but that is a pretty big thing to keep in mind. Now with the iPhone 13, like I said, you have that ultra-wide sensor, so you can zoom out a lot more on something like this phone than on the iPhone 10R. Is it a crazy big deal? It really depends on how you look at it. I think the zooming in capability and everything is still great, but I love having an ultra-wide sensor, and it definitely is worth it, as well as the camera improvements, so these photos and videos are going to look better. Cinematic mode is also a pretty cool thing. So ultimately, you're getting a much better camera sensor on the iPhone 13 than on the iPhone 10R. And now we make it to the end of the video. So should you go and buy an iPhone 10R? Should you keep your iPhone 10R? Or should you go and upgrade and buy an iPhone 13? Well, this is what I'll tell you. I think an iPhone 10R to an iPhone 13 is a pretty decent upgrade. I actually think it's not a bad upgrade at all. And I think the iPhone 13 is by far the better iPhone here. You're getting many more camera features, many more features in general. It's arguably better built. I like having the flat sides, potentially better battery life on something like an iPhone 13 as well. The display is better because it still looks really good. You still have, the notch, which the iPhone 10R has, but it's still a very good phone. And I think overall, this is a very solid device. I have very few complaints with it. Now, with an iPhone 10R, on the other hand, this is, I think, still a pretty good phone. Like, it's not really bad by any means. It's still pretty good. It looks pretty good. It has performed extremely well, much better than I thought it was going to perform. The battery life and everything isn't super bad on here. And physically and visually, it kind of still looks the same, right? We still have the notch. We still have everything. iOS isn't really going anywhere super crazy. There's not any crazier features that the iPhone 13 has that the 12 or 10R doesn't already have. Things like the cinematic mode and everything, that's cool. But we also have it on the previous generation of iPhones. Not cinematic mode, but ultra-wide sensors, telephoto lenses, all those things. So I will tell you, if you have an iPhone 10R, the 13 is a pretty good upgrade, but you can also go and upgrade to an iPhone 12 and still get a pretty decent upgrade as well. So that's pretty much what I will tell you. I think both these phones are great, but I do think if you had to buy one, the iPhone 13 is by far the better one. But if you have a 10R, you can also go up to something like an iPhone 12 and still get a really good, decent phone from that device as well. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.